Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, text 37. Arjuna Uvacha Ayatihi Shraddhayopeto Yogat Chalitamanasaha Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati. So now Arjuna is asking a very important question because Krishna has been telling him how one should practice with steadfastness, even though the mind says so many things to derail us. But we should be steadfast in practice. And Arjuna now gets a question: what if I cannot remain steadfast for so long? O Krishna, Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna said, O Krishna, Ayatihi. Yati means one who is a transcendentalist, proper transcendentalist. Ayati means a unsuccessful transcendentalist. A means opposite. So this unsuccessful transcendentalist, even though he has been practicing with faith and determination, Shraddhayopetaha, but Chalita Manasaha, because of his mind being fickle and strong, Yogat Chalita Manasaha, he has moved away from this path of yoga, whether it is typically it happens more for Gnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga and less for Bhakti Yoga. So that's what Prabhupada also explains in the purport. Why it happens more for Gnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, that Chalita Manasaha? Because the senses are not engaged. Our senses need engagement. If you restrain the senses, like how it is done in Gnana Path and Dhyana Path, you cannot do that for a long time. But if the senses are engaged positively in the service of Krishna, then there is no scope for the senses to be otherwise engaged. So that's what Prabhupada clarifies in the purport. But still, all these paths, they are categorized under that word yoga. Because ultimately, if you follow that properly, you should come to Krishna consciousness. Even though Gnanis, they take a long, long time. Bahunam janmanam ante, Gnanavan mam prapadyate. That's how they come to Krishna consciousness. And the yogis, after doing all those asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, finally come to Krishna consciousness, focus their mind on Krishna. Whereas a devotee, right from the beginning, he is focusing the mind on Krishna. The highest achievement, he starts from the beginning. So the path of fall down is more prone for a gnani and a dhyani path in the initial stages until they come to Krishna consciousness. So that's what Prabhupada clarifies in the purport. So Arjuna's question is, O Krishna, yogat chalita manasaha, if one has derailed from this path, chalita manasaha yogat, aprapya yoga samsiddhim, as a result, they have not attained aprapya, the perfection of that yoga practice. Yoga samsiddhim aprapya, then what is the position of that person? Kam gatim gacchati, O Krishna. Kam gatim Krishna gacchati. So Prabhupada translates this as Arjuna said, what is the destination of the man of faith who does not persevere, who in the beginning takes to the process of self realization, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness, and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? So one may accept this path very sincerely, whatever path they have taken, very sincerely. But what if I'm trying to control my mind? What if I fall down in that process? Now, Krishna already explained in the second chapter that a sincere practitioner in the spiritual path, there is no loss even if he makes a little progress. नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रयते महतो भयात्. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. Krishna mentioned that already. So now Arjuna wants Krishna to double confirm that statement. Oh Krishna, what happens to that person who falls down? And I remember you said like this. Just want to make sure that he'll be secure in whatever ways because of following that little endeavor on this path. So he is inquisitive to know the results of deviation from this path of self realization. So, as I said, there are these three paths: Gnana, Dhyana, and Bhakti. And more chance for fall down is there in Gnana and Dhyana. In Bhakti, there is very little chance unless one is not properly engaged. But even in Bhakti, one can fall down if one is not careful. If one is not careful to execute the processes given by the spiritual master, not careful to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Like Prabhupada used to tell one story. There was this man traveling in the train. In India, the trains can get quite busy. So he's got the ticket. And so he's sitting in his berth, and suddenly somebody comes and says, hey, I'm feeling a little tired. Can I sit for a while? I'll get up and go after that. And the man is a little compassionate. He said, yeah, all right, you sit for a while. That's all right. And then after some time, this man is not going. Rather, he brings his couple of children who comes running to him. Dad, I'm feeling so tired. What to do? Ah, beta, it's okay. Uncle is very good. You can sit for a few minutes here. Then he says, oh, all right. The small children, it's okay. You sit for some time. So he adjusts. And then the wife comes. There is no space. And somehow they are sitting. The wife is also allowed to sit. And they are squeezing and sitting. And then finally they push him away. And then he falls down and he gets up and goes away from that place. He's been denied from his own place. So Prabhupada used to tell that story to say that you give a little foot in the door for Maya. Maya happily opens the door and will be all over you. So like that, even in any path for that matter, not just Gnana or Dhyana, even in Bhakti Yoga, we should be very careful in what we are associating because that is considered Maya entering our consciousness, setting the foot in the door, and eventually everything will be occupied. Our mind will be fully occupied with Maya before we realize it. And particularly when practicing Krishna consciousness, there are three ways we can fall down. Primarily by not engaging our senses. That is the first important way. During Prabhupada's time, when he was having, teaching in this New York. He has this storefront, and where the devotees would come and engage in the service and chanting and all that. So they would do little service for Prabhupada. A couple of students, they started to learn cooking and they would cook. And one devotee would tend to the tape recorder for Prabhupada's tapes. And some do some cleaning in the place and all that. So the Prabhupada instructed one of those people to put a warning on the bathroom wall. And what is that? If you are not engaged, you will fall into Maya. That used to be the sign on the bathroom wall. So every day these students would see that and would, oh, yeah, better I be engaged in service. Otherwise, I'll be engaged in Maya's service. In bhakti, the other thing to note is the familiarity. Familiarity breeds contempt, whether it is to another Vaishnava or to the spiritual master or to even Krishna. There is a chance, or the holy name. In fact, holy name, you have to be very careful with the offenses. We take it for granted. It is the Lord Himself. Like during Rasalila time, Krishna was dancing with the gopis. And by his mystical potency, he expanded into so many forms as there are number of gopis. And every gopi felt that Krishna is there only with her, not with everybody else. And Krishna realized that there is a little pride that they developed. And immediately Krishna left them and went away. And they found Krishna after a long, long search. So that shows that Krishna is teaching them a lesson that even in bhakti, and through them, us, that in bhakti, there should not be scope for false pride. Nija janasmaya dhvamsana smita. Krishna is praised by the gopis as Krishna removes the pride, false pride of his devotees. Nija janasmaya. Smaya means that pride. Dhvamsana smita. By his smile, he removes that false pride. So one should not become too familiar. Oh, Krishna is now henpecked. So see how he is going after me like that. Or take holy name for granted and become inattentive. Holy name is there, we can attend to other things. Let me do something else. Or let me do something else while chanting. So those kind of things. Or, I can do any nonsense, but by chanting I can overcome that offenses, that sinful reactions. Or the devotees. We don't realize the value of the association of devotees and we commit offenses. So, broadly, the way we fall down in bhakti is because of three kinds of offenses: Nama aparadha, Seva aparadha, and Vaishnava aparadha. These are the three ways I was alluding to earlier, apart from the senses not using for Krishna. So, in addition to these Nama aparadha, Seva aparadha, Vaishnava aparadha, we also have to watch out for the weeds that grow along our bhakti lata. Bhakti is like the lata or the creeper that grows within our heart. When we sow the seed of bhakti given by the spiritual master, we water it with hearing and chanting. Malihana Seibij Karo Aropana Shravana Kirtana Jale Karaye Sechana. By Shravana and Kirtana, we have to nourish that Bhakti Lata creeper. But as you can see in the garden, when you are nourishing a plant, bringing it up, next to it, some weeds also start, isn't it? Because you're pouring the water into that ground, and there may be other seeds next to it. They also get the water and they start to come up. So these seeds are the sinful seeds of labha, puja, pratishtha, like a materialistic person who is always thinking of how I can get labha, profit from this activity. So that mentality also, oh, from this activity I can get this much profit. Or puja, oh, I can get adoration from people. Pratishtha, I want a position. Kutinati, you know, deception. Jiva himsa. Jiva himsa means, of course, a devotee may not physically hurt somebody or eat meat or these kind of things, but he can mentally hurt others with words, with mind, nishiddhachara, and eventually a devotee might fall down to nishiddhachara, means which are forbidden activities. So these are the weeds that will come up, and gradually we have to watch and take out these weeds and water only the plant. So these weeds come because of aparadha. When we are not careful. So bhakti is the easiest, and the only thing we need to watch out is for aparadha. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings that song. Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Patiya Chenam Hatta Jivera Karan. So Nityananda Prabhu has opened the marketplace in Nadia, in the town of Nadia, in West Bengal. What is that marketplace? Is that marketplace of selling vegetables? No. It is a marketplace of giving the holy name. Nam Hatta. Patiyache. He has opened. He's selling. He's giving. Not even selling. He's distributing it freely. And then in the course of that song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Aparad shunya hoy loho Krishna nam. Aparad shunya hoy loho Krishna nam. You chant the holy name of Krishna by being, or at least trying to become free from offenses. Aparad. In another song also he wrote, Kabe habe bolo sedina amar, Kabe habe bolo sedina amar. When will that day be mine? Sedina amar. हमारा दिन कब होता है? When is that day? When will that day be mine? When aparada ghuchi shuddhana me ruchi. When that offenses become freed, then I can taste that holy name. Shuddha Nama Ruchi. When will I get the taste for the Shuddha Nama? That means he's saying the only thing that is preventing us to taste that nectar of the holy name is our offenses. Aparad. So when will that day be mine when I get freed from this aparad and taste that Shuddha Nama? So if you dissect these aparadas, as I said, Nama Paradha, Seva Paradha, Vaishnava Paradha. And we can see how we can avoid these things briefly. So, Nama Paradha, how we can avoid offenses to the holy name. Of course, by understanding, every day we are reciting these 10 holy names. When you go to temple before Mangalarti, you read these 10 offenses and understand how you should not blaspheme the Vedic literature, disobey the order of the spiritual master, consider this kind of a ritual activity, commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. All of these things you understand. But importantly, it is said, Namaparadha yuktanam namani eva harantyagam. The Nama Aparadha can be eradicated by more chanting. One should not think, oh, I'm committing offenses to chanting, let me stop chanting. No. If one is an offender in the chanting the holy name, he should submit to the holy name and plead and pray and chant more and thus be freed from his offenses. It is said like that in Vaishna, Nama Kaumudi book, that one should submit to the holy name. And how do we get freed from Seva Aparadha? In the course of our service, including deity worship or many other services we do, we commit many offenses. So it is said there are many, many offenses that we commit while deity worship. I'll just list some just for understanding. To enter the temple with shoes, to not observe the prescribed festivals, to not offer obeisances in front of the deity, to offer prayers in an unclean state, not having washed one's hands after eating, to offer obeisances with one hand, to spread one's legs before the deity. So these kind of things are there. Of course, if we read that, it's mind-boggling. We have to read that. Prabhupada writes all this book, all these points in Nectar of Devotion. So we are careful. In general, because of our culture, Vedic culture, all these things are taught. Prabhupada was also trying to teach. One time, there was one devotee, he was typing on the typewriter, and he was a little not very attentive, and his legs were touching that. And Prabhupada told him, be careful, don't let the legs touch the typewriter. And then this devotee, being a Westerner, he could not understand. He said, Swamiji, why is the typewriter more important than my body? Because my body, leg is part of my body, and you know, it is as spiritual as the typewriter is. And so Prabhupada said, so yeah, the typewriter we are using completely for the service of the Lord. So it is completely spiritual. But because we have not perfected ourselves, our body is still material. Particularly the feet is considered in terms of material hierarchy, it's considered the lowest. And it's a symbol that if you touch something with the feet, the other thing is considered lower than you. It's an insulting thing. So Prabhupada was trying to teach all these kind of things. So if you do the deity offense, worship, while offenses to the deity worship or any of the seva aparadha, so it is said that one should chant one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. It is said in Skanda Purana, Avanti Khanda. It said, if one commits any of the offenses which are during the deity worship or any seva, one must read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. So it's a very good practice. You can pick any chapter. The smallest of chapters you can pick, like devotees typically read 12th chapter or 15th chapter, which has only 20 verses, the smallest. It's a very powerful. Make it a small habit every day. You can read, finish in 3-4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. So this is very powerful. And after that, there is Vaishnava Aparadha. Vaishnava Aparadha means again because of our familiarity. Familiarity breeds contempt. We can commit offenses. And Krishna usually, if we are sincere, he enlightens us within. Hey, you should not have spoken like that. You should not have done like that. And we immediately realize and we ask forgiveness. That is the best way to overcome Vaishnava Aparadha, overcome our ego. Hey, why should I ask forgiveness? I am not the one who is at fault. So even if there is a chance that you are not at fault, you will be absolved from your side because Krishna is a super soul has directed you. Sometimes Krishna is trying to teach you, but because of the layers of contamination and ego, you cannot think, you cannot understand you've done mistake. So sometimes that devotee through devotee association you'll be enlightened. Okay, that was my mistake. Then you should ask forgiveness. So this is when Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni incident happened. You see how Durvasa he committed offense to Ambarish Maharaj, and he tried to take shelter of so many personalities in this world. He even went to Vaikuntha to take shelter of Vishnu. He said, I cannot help. Only my devotee can help. If you go and ask forgiveness, beg forgiveness. And Durvasa Muni had to come and fall at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj, being naturally kind, he forgave. So, like that. So, Vaishnava Aparadha also has to be very importantly dealt with. So, in this way, one can overcome all these offenses and happily one can practice Krishna consciousness. So, these small things of alertness will help us in progress in our bhakti. Apart from engaging our senses, that's important as well. If we don't engage our senses, all of these things are useless. Right off the bat, you giving chance for Maya. But still, Arjuna wanted to inquire, even if it happens, like Ajamila case. A small inalertness, he got deviated looking at those scenes of enjoyment between a prostitute and a mlecha, a sudra, whoever. So that caused him to fall down. But then, because of his previous practice, Krishna gave that remembrance and he came back. So the process is so powerful that even a little endeavor, sincere endeavor you make, Krishna will remember that. And you adjust few more things and be alert, then you'll progress very smoothly. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.